Oops, I very nearly neglected something quite important, which is showing you how to download articles that you have found using Google Scholar. So let's return to the lead childhood cognitive search that we started with. And let's say that you're simply looking through articles and you find one that looks particularly relevant to you. Let's scroll down and just choose one more or less at random. How about this? I was going to choose this one up here, but this is one that we've actually already seen in our Mendeley assignment. So down here, here's one. This is from E. Bialystok from 2007. It's about cognitive effects of bilingualism, how linguistic experience leads to cognitive change. Okay. The issue here is that the word lead, as in the element, is the same word as lead, as in the verb to lead, and that is why this search result came up. So that's a funny example of homonyms, words that have the same letters but are pronounced differently and have different definitions. Let's scroll down a bit to find something more relevant to our search term. That's why we make sure that each of the things that comes up in the search is in fact relevant to us by reading the snippet and reading the title to make sure that silly mistakes like that don't happen. So let's scroll down a bit more. How about this one? Here is Tucker-Drob et al., 2012, Early Childhood Cognitive Development and Parental Cognitive Stimulation, Evidence for Reciprocal Gene-Environment Transactions. That's an article fairly far outside my realm of expertise, but I'm actually wondering, this second author, I wonder if that's Catherine Harden. Yep, it's Catherine Page Harden. She is a famous intelligent researcher and a very nice person, public intellectual. She has published many things over the years, and this is a good opportunity to see what a person's scholar profile looks like if they are an academic, if they've published lots and lots of articles. Let's say that you're like me, and Catherine Page Harden is a superhero to you who you want to emulate in terms of your career, and you think that she's a great scholar, and you want to know all of the publications that she has ever had. So Dr. Page Harden, if we go to her scholar page by clicking on her name on an article, or simply by looking up her name in the search results, it'll take us to her scholar profile. If you recall, when we're setting up email alerts, we can set up email alerts for particular search terms, but another option is to create email alerts following particular people. So if you're interested in a particular researcher and want to be alerted every time they publish something using Google Scholar, what you will do is you will search them in the search bar, and instead of a publication being the search result, you'll instead see a person's profile, such as hers. So let's say I wanted to be informed every time there's a new article by Catherine Page Harden. Also, every time someone, well, I wouldn't do this because she's probably going to be cited all the time. You're going to get a lot of citations, a lot of alerts otherwise. And let's say we want to see news articles, like newspaper articles or magazine articles that mention her work. So this is just an alternative way to get alerts, where instead of you getting alerts that link to specific keywords that are relevant to you, you instead get email alerts every time someone who is particularly relevant to the field, whose publications you know you'd be interested in, whether they get published. So that alert has been created, and we can see that our list of alerts includes our original one about aerobic exercise, bone density, and estrogen, as well as two new ones, Catherine Page Harden, new related research, and new articles. So let's actually go back. Oops. There we go. Let's go back to our original objective, which is figuring out how to download an article that we find really useful. So for the Mendeley assignment, I believe in the instructional video tutorial, it explained some options for getting documents from a folder on your computer into your Mendeley library. that was called the Watch Folder option. So in my case, I've created a folder in my Mendeley account that is being watched. And if I wanted to download this file, over on the right, I can see that there's this little icon that says PDF. And by clicking this, it will open the PDF with this article. As you can see, as this loads, not all of the articles on Google Scholar search results have that PDF option, but many do. So here is the article I cared about. If I wanted to download it, I would be sure to download it to this folder. I called it Mendeley Watched folder. If I was to download it, and then open Mendeley, and go to the top of the page. So at the very top of the page, on Mendeley, one of the worst things about it, one of pretty much the only bad thing about it, is you can't adjust the text size, but trust me that this selected citation case at the top is the article that we just downloaded. And the reason why it automatically got added to Mendeley, to refresh your memory, is because we had Mendeley watching the folder that we saved this document into. And we did that by going to File, Watch Folder, and then some folder on our computer. In my case, it's a folder in my Google Drive account called Mendeley Watched Folder. And the checkbox means that whenever a PDF document is added to this folder, it will automatically get added to my Mendeley library. And once something is added to your Mendeley library, usually Mendeley gets the citation correct. If Mendeley gets some aspect of the citation wrong, be sure to change the metadata so that it's actually correct. If it gets the title wrong or the author's wrong, be sure to fix it. But we can then look at our article in Mendeley, and when we have an article open in Mendeley, we're able to do all sorts of stuff like annotation, note-taking, that you can't just do when you have an article on the web that you're looking through. And Mendeley has all sorts of other useful options, such as sorting articles into folders that you create that are relevant to particular projects. You could, if you choose, give tags to your articles if you want a system of tags. Some people do that. But anyway, that is sort of what you would do with a PDF once you have it. But as you saw, not every one of the Google search results had a PDF associated with it. So let's say that you wanted to download this article, Bellinger 1991. If you clicked on Bellinger 1991, it would take you to the journal in which this article was published. And here, there's an option to download PDF, but let's see if we can actually do that. Nope, as I expected. So you are not allowed to download this as a PDF because it is behind a paywall. One of the things that is a benefit of being a university student is you have access to UAlbany's journal subscriptions. However, UAlbany does not have subscriptions to every journal, such as this particular journal, because if they did, we would be able to simply download this PDF. Instead, it gives you an option to add article to your shopping cart for $25. I'm going to tell you right now, never, ever, ever, ever pay to buy or rent an article. Never do it. There is always a better way. The simplest way, the sort of most straightforward way, was also the most long, the one that would have to option that would make you wait the longest, is to simply email one or even all of the authors explaining, I don't have access to your article through my institution. Would it be okay if you sent me a copy of the PDF? Sometimes I have to do that, even though I have access to the university as well as my past institution's list of journal subscriptions. And it's annoying because sometimes an article's snippet on Google Scholar looks very relevant, but you simply don't have access to it because your institution doesn't. So one option is to email the authors. Very often there's an email address associated with the authors. But let me show you a more straightforward way. So let's say you're interested in this Bellinger 1991 article, and it's often the case that older articles are more difficult to find because they were often not originally published as a PDF, and they had to have been digitized at a certain part. So copy the name of the article. And once you copy the name of the article, you're going to just Google Iliad U Albany. Iliad stands for Interlibrary Loan, ILL, Interlibrary Loan. And as a university student, you have permission to ask our university library system to find an article for you if you don't have access to it otherwise. So you have to go through the whole rigmarole where it asks you for your authentication. And once that's done, it takes you to the Iliad page. Iliad is great because they find articles for you, so you don't have to. To find a particular article, you submit a new request, click on Article, and you're taken to this page where you describe the item that you want. So in this case, using the description given in Google Scholar, you'll type the author, copy and paste, type the title rather, copy and paste the author information, the journal information, the volume and issue number. I normally just click both of these because it just is a waste of time. The people at the library services always know what you're talking about if they just have the title. They're not dummies. Include the year, often for the inclusive pages, to save yourself time, just write N/A. And then once that's all in, just click Submit Request. And usually within less than a day, they'll just get you the article. If you want the article even faster than that, there are certainly ways of finding the article through what I would describe as legally gray options. And if you were to Google how, without a university affiliation, how do you find particular articles, I can't stop you from doing that. And I can't stop you from finding much more rapid and expeditious ways to find academic articles. But I'm not going to actually demo it in front of you. Well, that is the end of the lesson on Google Scholar. I hope that you learned something relevant to how you might be able to use Google Scholar for your own research.